Hi, everybody. This is RJ Owens. I play Baby Francois Mystère.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Slonina.
Hi, this is Kit Chatham of Curios.
Yeah, guys, my name is Crispy, and I play the character N2 in the show Turuk, The First Flight.
This was Carly Cuillet.
Hi, my name is Majo Cornejo. I'm the singer of Lucia by Cirque du Soleil.
This was Cirque.
Hey guys, welcome to season 2 of Circecast. We've been gone for a while, but we're back after a small little break. So for this season, I'm Jose. We have Richard joining us all the way from Atlanta. We have Ian joining us from Orlando, and we have Max joining us from Toronto. So welcome, Max.
Hello.
And let's get started. So we'll get started with some really quick news. So on December 20th, Cirque du Soleil announced, or I guess 45 Degrees announced that they will be performing in Andorra. They will be returning to Andorra, but they have a new, show series called Diva. So according to the Diva website, this summer, Cirque du Soleil returns to Andorra for an all-new, one-of-a-kind free event in Europe. Following the success of the Escalada series, a new chapter begins with Diva by Cirque du Soleil, which will pay tribute to some of the greatest divas of all time. Ready to relive the music's most celebrated hits through the lens of Cirque du Soleil? This year's spirited acrobatics will be performed to the rhythm of the songs of the divas who shaped our history. So it doesn't really say which divas, and I don't know if we don't know if it's going to be exclusive to like European divas or just pop divas.
Or like Tina Turner du Soleil. That'd be interesting too. It'd be a really dancey show.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's not something that we haven't really, seen. It kind of reminds me of that rumor, that fashion show rumor from New Jersey that just never happened. I don't know why it kind of makes me think.
There was a Yahoo group years ago. It was a Cirque Yahoo group, and they had this rumor going around that there was going to be a ABBA show. And that's what I picture with this. That's exactly.
I kind of remember that. that was a long time ago.
It was early 2000s,
Yeah,
but that's what I picture. Yeah, a terrible Mamma Mia kind of thing or something.
I have all the since I ran that group there toward the end of its run, so I'll look back in the archives and see if I can find it.
It'll probably be a what I'm guessing is probably like French Canadian divas or something like that. Like all their tribute shows.
Diva will be playing from June 30th to the 29th to July 29th, and it's I believe 2 years. So this year and then the following year. And then speaking of 45 Degree shows, there is another tribute show coming out by 45 Degrees / Cirque du Soleil, and this is a tribute to, oh my God, I don't know. Pardon my non-existent French.
Cheez-Its is what it's called, or something, I think.
No, it's Le Coloc, something like that. And so it's I guess it's a French Canadian band that was very popular in the 90s. I don't know their music. Max, do you? I mean, you live in Toronto, not necessarily French Canadian, but do you know this band?
Not at all. I had to look them up before I recorded the show. I have never heard the band at all in my entire life.
I gave them a listen. I gave them a listen on Spotify earlier, and they actually got some neat stuff. It's very folky, but a little bit dancey. It's neat.
Yeah, well, according to the website, it's one of the most renowned and influential music groups of the 90s. So, I don't know. It must be one of those local bands, but they're huge. Kind of like, I guess I was gonna say, what's the Septimania band? I forget. No one remembers. So they say. Yeah. But I guess they were really bigger than what they could look like. But yeah, so it's
artists anyway. Of course, that's what they're celebrating.
This tribute show is going to play in Trois-Rivières from July 18th to August 18th in the Amphitheater Courgette. So again, if you're interested in that, just you can definitely go, and then you can tell us all about it.
And get ready for at least 6 more, because there's one more on their 5-year contract, initial 5-year contract, and then they just renewed here for another 5 years. So I don't know if they're going to do more tribute series or if they're going to do, a series of 5 other types of shows. But they're sticking around for a while.
Maybe we'll know one of those bands, or eventually they'll hit a band that we know, or at least Max, who he's in Canada.
Yeah, hopefully. Although, like, I feel like French Canada culture and English Canada culture are so vastly different from each other that they're, I don't know, they I've never heard of these people before, but apparently they're big and popular and
influential.
Right over my head. Influential, others have said, but not me, because I've never heard of them before.
Well, here's something that you have heard of, which is O, that plays at Bellagio in Las Vegas. So O was filmed. It was filmed for a German TV show, and I actually haven't had a chance to see the recording, but I'm sorry, I've been busy, but I know you guys have, right?
Well, to be fair, just so that we're legally, okay here on this show, in order to see the recording, you would have to fly over to France or Germany and then log into the website and watch it from there, because it's not legal to go through a VPN or something like that and download it online. So
that's exactly what you guys did. So
we're all felons. Yeah. Well, wait, does Canadian law apply here, or what? How does that work? International laws.
What, am I the only one who went to France to see this? I mean, come on.
I did too. I traveled all the way to France because I do stuff legally, and I definitely flew over there and saw it.
And it was beautifully shot. It was really done well, I thought.
That was the thing that I told you. Like, one thing about the older Cirque du Soleil TV specials that I don't like are there are so many close-ups, especially like Saltimbanco and like Nouba Experience and like older stuff like that. For this show, they did have close-ups, but for the most part, they stayed on the wide crane shots and showed everything that was going on.
Did they show the opening, the actual curtain?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Oh man.
Everything was captured, and I think the reason why they got it so right was because they had already filmed Worlds Away. So they already had an idea of how O should be filmed, and I bet that helped a lot in the filming process of this.
Man, I didn't even think about that, but that's true. I have never seen O before, for the record. So this was my opportunity to finally see it. I do have a story about it. I've been to Vegas 3 times, and the 3 times that I've been to Vegas was during their dark week in April. So I never had the opportunity to go see it. During that dark week, it always coincided with my trip to NAB, which was the National Association of Broadcasters show in Vegas. So yeah, never had the opportunity to see it, and never was able to convince myself to fly back to Vegas just to do that one thing. So I finally saw it. Yay!
Well, now you have to see
it. Thing, there's Mystère, there's O, there's Love, there's Ka, there's Humanity, there's MJ1.
I've seen Mystère live, I've seen Love, and I've seen Ka live.
And you can see him again. It's okay.
So Max, this being your first impression, what was your first impression of O? Being it's your first time seeing it.
In a way, it's not my first time seeing it, because I feel look, I've been a fan of Cirque du Soleil for a long time, so by this point, I've kind of seen all the little bits and pieces of the show, and this was more just me going oh, so this is how it's all assembled together into a 90-minute production. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was I thought it was awesome. There were some little things here and there that I wasn't so great with. Like, are we okay with spoilers, by the way? Spoilies for this special?
Cover your ears if you don't want to hear it.
If you've never seen O before, then cover your ears. But basically the show O starts out with the Eugene bringing out this guy from the audience and bringing him into the show, and it's discovered that he's actually a plant and turns out to be like the main character of the show. And then they kind of pull off the same thing later with the high diving act, and it's not that there was anything wrong with it, but I was sort of sitting there thinking, like, okay, you've already used this theatrical device once in the show very, very well. And the first time, like, I saw, like, clips of it as a kid, like, just this idea of, like, this guy coming out of the audience and, like, being part of the show was, like, super magical and stuff. And then they used it again, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's more creative things that you can do with, like, the different acts in the show.
I've seen O twice. Once in the early 2000s, and another time in last year. And when I saw it, the two different times, I remember the first time I saw it in the early 2000s, that high dive bit scared the crap out of me. They did it right. It was a little bit darker back then, I feel like, the show, at least. It was before Cirque brightened things up. And I remember that moment in the high dive. It was like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. Somehow they pulled it off back then. But then when I saw it again recently, it didn't play well. I don't know why that was. I couldn't figure out the magic.
Probably because you've expected it to happen. So
maybe that could be it.
And I mean, you don't have the same experience. Like, for me, I'm not having the same experience watching it on television as I am being in the audience. So that, I mean, that could be a factor in it too, but it felt a little repetitive for me. But for that being my only, like, complaint with the show, that's pretty good. It's amazing. Like, there's so many crazy things that happen in that show.
It's a great show. I mean, definitely it's one of my must-do when I'm in Vegas. It's that, Mystere, and Love. And Mind Freak. I do love Mind Freak.
Mind Freak is the best on the Strip, no question.
But yeah, O is beautiful, and you definitely have to see it. Or you can just go to France and see it and stream the recording. Wink, wink.
Exactly. Instead of taking a plane trip to Vegas to watch it live, I took a plane trip to France in order to open up my laptop and then stream it on the website.
To be fair, though, if I could watch O in France, I would actually kind of be okay with that.
All right. Well, moving on. Oh yeah, did you guys see that Cirque du Soleil released a Snapchat filter on Snapchat? that's pretty random. But
I was playing with it. So I was playing with it with a friend of mine because I saw it pop up on Twitter and I immediately flew open Snapchat and started taking pictures with it. And it works on both directions. But I think they're doing it for the big tech convention out there.
Yeah, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. And it started on January 9th. And it's going to be, they'll have it there for a limited time only. But there's really no end date. At least Broadway World, who's one of the websites who announced it, they didn't really state the actual date. Lastly, for the quick news, we won't spend much time on them. Mind Freak Live is closing after 10 years and over 4,000 performances.
What? I mean, as I said just before, that was like the best show on the script.
Holy gasp!
Yeah, the best show for 10 years. So yeah, Mind Freak Live will be, their last show will be October 28th of this year. If you haven't seen the show and you really want to see it, then fly out, skip O, and watch Mind Freak Live. Although, to be fair, there are
Please don't. Please
there are
don't.
some people who are going to be sad that are not necessarily Cirque fans, but Chris Angel fans, because he does have somewhat of a following. But to me, it was.
I'm sure he's gonna be fine.
He's going on tour. He's going on tour,
Right.
basically. Yeah. With was it with some of the rest of the cast, or? I'm
not sure.
I was pretty sure I heard that. Like he was. Oh yeah, I was talking to Ray about this actually. He's going on tour with some of the rest of his cast, I guess. So I don't know where that's going to develop into, but it'll be interesting.
Well, good luck to them. But I've heard, we've heard some, I guess, sort of rumors about a replacement show, but I haven't really heard much about it. So I would imagine that won't be until 2019, late 2019.
Hopefully it's not that Motley Crue thing that Robin Leach was talking about.
Wait, what?
That'd be terrible.
It was a one-off blip. I don't remember exactly when it happened, whether it was October or November, but he had in one of his columns just this little blip that he had heard whispers that Cirque was talking to Motley Crue about making a show based on their music. And I'm just shaking my head and I go, no. But it's only been that one blip. Nobody else has picked up on it. Nobody else has said anything, and nothing else has happened.
Well, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that the new show will have like motorcycles or something like that. So
Reflect.
Yeah, I guess so. That looked pretty cool. I actually liked. I wish I could have seen Reflect. I thought it was sort of a neat show for what it was, for a special event show. But
yeah, they're getting more sophisticated with their event shows, especially ones that are out in the public, or for tourism or at the expos. Yeah, they're that is where I see a lot of their where they try a lot of new things. So we saw that video, I think, on the C-Lab series where they were talking about putting motorcycles with Russian bar, I think it was, or something like that.
Right, in Reflect.
Yeah, and then it ended up in Reflect. So a lot of things that you would see out there, they're proving and then slowly integrating into the regular shows.
Speaking of closings, 2 shows closed this year, and the first one was Verica, which closed December 23rd, after, I believe, 15 years. That was very sad for me, somewhat painful. Verica was my very first show back in 2005.
It was my first show too. First live show. I saw Kidam on TV before that, but I saw it when it was in Toronto in 2002. And hey, I was 10 at that time. It blew me away. And, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was way older than that.
You were, Jesus.
Shit.
I mean, I was already an adult. Let's just say that.
I mean, as one of them kids that was, I was in university at that time, obviously.
Right. But yeah, so that was a very special show for me. And I know, Richard, we talked about it, and that was sort of a special show for you as well. You had a good experience of visiting Montreal, and you know, it's
I was there.
Yeah, so it's nice when a certain show just kind of reminds you, like, you know, you get nostalgic, and it reminds you of all these great memories, and ultimately, like, that's really why I like Cirque du Soleil, because I have great memories. I've made great friends, and you know, some great trips and everything. But yeah, it all started for me with Verica.
And needless to say, also we got to see the beginning, the making of Verica. You know, we saw Fire Within. We watched it be raised from baby to what it is, and that's also a personal connection for me. At least I remember when Fire Within went on.
Yeah, that's true. Fire Within. I mean, it's somewhere back here. I have it there. But yeah, I love that
for me, Ian, because you know I was there at premiere, so I saw the first show and the second show and the third show, and I think that was it. But so some of the things that you see being recorded in Fire Within, I wasn't there for them, but I remember some of those things happening at that time, and it's funny to watch that show now, Fire Within, and then think about now that Barakai is gone. You know, even though maybe in Arena it wasn't as powerful, but still very good show, and it will be sorely missed.
Yeah, and you're right about the Arena. I mean, it was somewhat of a different show. I mean, they removed some, but they removed some of the I guess iconic acts for that show. You know, you had at Karen Games, you didn't really see that prior to that, at least with Cirque du Soleil. You had the meteors, the water meteors with the little boys, you know, and then you had triple trapeze, and then in Fire Within, you can see that, you know, it wasn't always this beautiful act that we got to see on stage, and you know, they show the struggles, and you know, Gila Liberte didn't really like the first acts, and so they had to go back and just create this new act, and so the show, the acts that replaced it were the baton for the water meter. There was single trapeze for
trampoline, the air floor, what's that called?
The tumbling guys.
Yeah. Tumbling, which I, you know what, honestly, at first I don't think it's a great replacement for a Karen Games, just because that Karen Game was, you know, it's an awesome act. But I think aside from all that, I do like the tumbling act, because I think mostly because of the guys that they're all synchronized, you know, and so I did enjoy that. And then there's Sir Wheel as well, and that was really weird, the weirdest to me, I think. That and baton, but
the Sir Wheel reminded me of Dralian Sir Wheel a lot. When they
I think it might be because of the air, like the blue costume.
Yeah. It just reminded me of a Dralian costume in Varakai. I was like, what is this costume doing in this environment? It just didn't look like it fit.
Yeah, it's very different. The costume was very different. But you know, so La Nouba closed December 31st, New Year's Eve, and Ian and I were actually there for the last show, and that. Veracruz was sad, and especially for me because it's, you know, it was my first show. But La Nouba's was such a different. It was much more different than Veracruz. Veracruz closed in Frisco, Texas, which is sort of random. You know, the people who went to see the show are mostly locals, and then you did have some of the Cirque du Soleil people go, and you know, a few like past artists. But for the most part, they were just locals, people who didn't really, I guess, care that it was the last show. But for La Nouba, my God, there were all these Cirque celebrities there, and you know, people who previously had been in the show, and like from the beginning, Susanna Lewis was there.
Carlos
Moreira. He's the original Valker.
And it was cool watching them while the show was going on too. Like Carlos, when they were doing Aerial Cradle, was like jumping up and down, celebrating with the guy that was up there, and it was just really cool to see the connection. And people were like going, "Go Cheryl!" and stuff like that. You know, people were cheering, and it was just really great to see the performers and their friends, you know, on stage celebrating one last time.
Yeah. So and then they had a special pin for everyone who attended the last show, which says au revoir, I think, and you know, it has the La Nouba Theater there.
You can hold it up, Jose.
I have it right here.
Yeah, like it's right there.
Yeah, there it is. If you guys can see it, it's gonna be backwards, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, it was just a nice little gift. I know I wanted to get one for Richard, but they were only giving one out as soon as you went in. But I think he's getting one somehow. So
don't worry.
He's getting one on the black market, you know.
Nope.
But yeah, it was a very special show.
Can we talk about that live stream of the last show?
Yes, let's talk about that.
Oh yeah, please let's talk about that.
So what Max is talking about is Cirque du Soleil, a few days prior to the last show, announced that they were going to live stream the final bow. Right? So, well, first it was confusion because it seemed like there was going to be the entire show, but then if you kind of read it, you know, carefully, it said final bow. So what is?
And I'm getting all excited because I can't go, right?
Right, and I'm like, Richard, you're going to be able to see it.
Right.
And so were a lot of other people who could not make it to the last show. So it was weird because Ian was live streaming from the last show on Hardcore Cirque Fan. I'm watching, and this is during like trampoline, and what's it called? Power track.
Yeah,
Power track. And I get a message from a friend that says, "I just saw the final bow. It was so sad." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know? And yes, I did pick up my phone during the performance, but it was the last show, and I know people were going to be messaging, and he's like, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, the live stream. I just saw it, and I'm like, I'm just seeing people jumping on trampolines right now.
It was still going on.
Ended. So then when people saw Ian's live stream, that's when they realized, wait a minute.
They're like, what the heck's going on? We just watched this. And we're like, no, and weird watching it afterwards, because I was comparing the two videos. Like Cheryl was wearing her old costume. What's her character's name? Virginia was wearing her old costume for the final few shows. Well, in the live feed, she was wearing her new costume, which means they must have filmed that quite a while back. It wasn't even probably day up.
It looks like there was an audience.
There was an audience for sure.
Yeah, it was.
But it probably like an earlier final bow rehearsal or something,
So I watched the live stream when I was at work. And I had it up, and like people were coming over and like asking me what was going on, and I had a group of people going like, "This is Nouba's final show." Like I've been a fan of Cirque for so long, and there were a couple of them that saw it, and I got a little emotional and stuff like that. And then I had to show up the next day to work and be like, "Hey guys, remember when I was like freaking out about that live stream last night?" And like getting emotional in front of all of you guys. Yeah, that wasn't live.
Well, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm going, this is pretty good. The audience seems to be into it. The energy is a little off, but pretty good nevertheless. And then they get to
I noticed that too.
Their bow, and usually they'll project something on the back wall. When they reach their 1,000th show or whatever, they'll project it. New Year's Eve, they'll project something on the wall. So I expected like farewell Nouba and balloons and confetti. And they did their bows, and then they brought all the characters out, and everybody's, and I'm going, well, okay, that was just a normal ending. Okay, kudos to them. That was pretty good, energetic, and the performance was good. But I'm like, nothing special. And then, we start getting footage from Jose and Ian and others, and it's like, well, that was not live, was it? It was very disappointing.
They did some really awesome things in the show too, that shouldn't be overlooked also. Like, just those moments, those big moments you can overlook in that final show. At the ending, the iconic with the nuts going like this, and after they had come out and taken the final bow and all shared the stage and talked to each other and stuff on the stage, they went back, but they still had that moment. They did it at the very end. At the very end.
They were telling people to get off the stage so they can go like do it, but they literally like at the very end, the very last moment, they did that, and everyone went crazy, and it was just very
lights out, and the whole room just roared. And everyone just felt it.
I will tell you this, like the part where like I almost broke down was during the ballerina act, her last solo.
Natasha and Rao. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's dancing, and then right before she does her final move, she just goes like this, and she just starts crying, and she
we can see her just
like,
she's like,
man, it was very emotional. It was it was good to see the last show. I mean, there were quite a bit of people, like I mentioned there, and you could see that like they were going around and saying hi to each other. And the other thing that was really sad for me was I don't know if you guys remember Karina. She was one of the artists who had the accident. Who's married to David. He was part of the show as well. So she's sitting there, and when they did the parade, the artists were stopping by and then giving her a kiss
on the
cheek.
Then, it was so
on the
sweet.
Cheek, yeah. And so then right before the end of the show, they went and grabbed Karina. She's still like she's in a wheelchair right now. And then at the end, you see her, and those benches where the little Diablo girls sit like in the show. Karina was there. They pulled her out when everyone came out. So that was really special. Sad, but very special. So yeah, there were very like some of those like special moments, and And I don't think that there were times that I wasn't really paying attention to the acts because I was looking to see like what was going on around. So it was nice. I'm sad that Richard, you couldn't be there with us. I know this was one of your early favorite shows. I mean, you used to live in Orlando, and I know you wanted to be there. But I guess it is what it is.
Sorry, you got a beautiful baby.
That's right. But yeah, so La Nouba is officially closed, and then we heard, I guess, was it about a month ago, through the Disney, I think it was Disney Mom's blog.
It wasn't Disney Insider, was it?
No, it was. No. I think it was the blog. They announced that they're working on a new show that is coming, I believe, in 2019 that will replace La Nouba. And it's going to be a collaboration between Cirque du Soleil and Disney. So when we hear that, or when I heard that, I automatically start thinking, oh, please don't put Disney characters on stage, which, full disclaimer, I love Disney World. Apple, Cirque du Soleil, and Disney World are like my favorite companies. But I just don't want to see a Disney show. Like, for that, I can just go to one of the parks and see that.
Can I put something out there?
Sure.
That I already said to Richard. That because when I heard this, I was thinking the same way that you were, Jose. Like Cirque and Disney and like having actual Disney characters on there, and we don't know if that's exactly what they're gonna do. But I know a while ago people were thinking like, why would you mix Disney and Final Fantasy into a video game? And that turned out to be a really creative thing. So if that's where they're going, and that video game, for those of you who don't know, turned out to be Kingdom Hearts, which had this huge, huge series and is still going on. So like, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a bad thing, even if they have Disney characters in there. They could potentially do something really creative with it.
So one of my friends in the gift shop, she was explaining the new show, because I'm apprehensive about them putting anything Disney in there. Like, I don't want Frozen, I don't want any of that stuff. And she was saying,
just let it go.
She was, yeah. If you think you've got all the Frozen puns, I know all of them. So anywho, but no, if they, she was saying that they were going to put in a show that was more so celebrating animation, but not straight spitting image Disney. It's not going to be like Mickey Mouse, Goofy dancing up on the stage. It's going to be Disney inspired animation and the kind of like a walk through animation. Yeah, a little bit of history of animation. And
somebody once described it to me as maybe like the art of Disney and how abstract some of that can get. So you have that in addition to the animation of what you're talking about.
Which I like that. That's intriguing.
Yeah. So that kind of sounds like Iris.
Kind of, and a little bit like a good inspiration from Salvador Dali, I think would be kind of cool. They have that Disney Dali collab that they did that one time. I wonder if they'll like inspire something from that.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm really looking forward to some details, but I guess it's going to be a while.
We do know one detail.
Have one rumor and at least one confirmed.
Yeah, there is one big detail.
Well, the confirmed one is the composer, which is Benoit. What's the last name? Jutra? I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. Which he composed Kidam, he composed O, he composed
La Nouba.
La Nouba, that's true. Yeah. So that's exciting. It's kind of nice because although Bob and Bill, there are some songs I do like. I was getting tired of Bob and Bill, and then so Lucia was different, and I was happy to hear that. And then Volta, again, I love the Volta soundtrack because I like M83. But it's nice that they're going kind of back to one of those early composers, and that's something that you hear the music from Kidam, Nouba, and it's just one of those things where it's like classic Cirque.
And they have iconic numbers. Like there are songs that like people who don't even know what Cirque du Soleil is know Allegria. Like there are people out there who know the song Allegria. I heard it used in a pizza commercial in Orlando one time, which was really weird. It was Allegria Pizza Company or something like that, and I almost went there, but like people know that song and don't know what Cirque is. So I'm hoping he makes something else iconic like that as well.
So we'll see. And then the unconfirmed, or I guess the rumor, is the director, which is going to be, or makes me think it's going to be Michel Lepre, who directed Curios and Septimo Dia. And, he started as the scout for Barakai. That was his first show. He was actually at the last show, Barakai's last show. And I did talk to him, and I said, so you're directing a new show? And he just kind of smirked. And I think Ian and Dario
I talked to him at
Nouba.
Yeah, and we asked him, we said, so you got some big shoes to fill, because we were just being nosy. And he's like, I'm not allowed to talk about anything, which is kind of cool. So
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not opposed. I don't dislike the idea of Cirque and Disney collaborating. I just hope Mickey Mouse doesn't come out. I want something. I don't want to mix that.
If we get
like have original.
Is Michel capable of making a bad show so far? And is, like Benoit, his music hasn't been bad at all. So I think even so, if we don't like it as a whole, there's going to be some really nice elements to it at least that we can look forward to.
Yeah, so we'll see. It's exciting. But yeah, it won't happen until 2019, I believe. So we'll have to wait about a year to see what happens. But I'm guessing as we go, the year passes, we'll hear some more rumors, and I'm guessing they'll keep the theater the way it is, and then just remodel the inside of it. I can't see them tearing it down. Right? Let's see.
We'll keep an eye on it.
I don't think so. Not if they're going to want to put in a new show in 2019. I don't think they'd have time to demolish it, design a new building, unless they've already got something in mind, and then build it. The way that Disney builds, the speed that they're building these days is, they like to stretch it across so many quarters so that they can spread the cost around. So I can't imagine, because then they're going to need a stage, they're going to need to practice, and all that jazz. So I would hate for them to do that, because it is such an iconic building, especially for that. Disney Springs, and so
it's downtown Disney.
Yes, it is. I hate calling
you can't call it Disney Springs.
No,
it's just a dirty, dirty word.
But I do know that inside is rather cramped. So I know, Ian, you've been, behind the scenes up in the rafters like I have, and so they do like to tell you that, the elevator opens up, watch your step, because there's a beam that's here and it shouldn't be here because the space inside is smaller than what it should be.
And they're also saying a lot of like the works need to be rebuilt, because they were built, how many years ago when they were first put in,
1998.
98. So yeah. So I mean, some of those things are probably really worn down and need updating as well. So they're probably going to gut some of the technical stuff up in the roof area, of course. So who knows? They might even change the tent a little bit, like they did with Volta.
Well, speaking of Volta,
I don't think that would match the aesthetic of downtown Disney.
No.
Yeah, well, it might match the aesthetic of Disney Springs 2.0.
There you go. Yeah, let's talk about Volta a little bit. There's a lot going on with Volta, and but before we get into the changes, I wanted to get I guess Max's thoughts on the show. Volta was the first show that Max saw, the first Cirque du Soleil show that he's seen twice. I believe he's only with the show.
live.
Right, live,
That's-
right.
Like I've seen the DVDs like thousands of times.
Right. But live, this is the first one that you repeated, and there were some comments that you made to me that were interesting because, I love Volta. I really do. I think that show just it was made for me, but it gets a lot of hate, and I don't understand why. I mean, I get it, but I don't. And so yeah, Max, what do you think of the show?
I thought it was different. It's definitely like different for a Cirque du Soleil show. But I really liked it too. I think maybe I'll get into that a bit later. Yeah, I thought that it had a lot of heart to it. And coming from something that I was kind of nervous about, like last year, we were told that their new show was going to be about extreme sports, and that was like the theme of the show. And then it really evolved into something with a lot of heart and this great story about self-acceptance with the Woz character. Yeah, it was fun. It was also the first show that I got to go backstage for. So that was an interesting experience as well.
Yeah, so like Max said, it started as extreme sports, and it's not really about extreme sports anymore. But they have different acts, and you don't normally see on the stage. You have the bike act, you have the BMX act, you have parkour. They've had rings before, at least Immortal did, but now you have them in Volta, and that's a pretty cool act. I thought the rings
with the bungee jumpers.
Oh, right, and it's bungee as well.
Really impressive scene. Yeah.
And then you have the hair, like the girl suspended by the hair, which is in Septimo Dia, but I think I prefer the Volta version better. It's very beautiful, and I don't know if you guys remember, but when we talked about before Volta premiered or around the time it premiered, I remember saying that to me was not an impressive act, and I meant no disrespect to the artist, because I'm sure it's something that you have to train and be careful on doing it. But it turned out to be one of my favorite acts from Volta because it was just it was done very beautifully, and the music.
That was your perception before, like I haven't yet to see it, so I have perception of the show, and that was your perception of the show before you saw it. Now you've seen it 2 or 3 times now, and yeah, you're allowed to change your mind.
I know, but yeah, I just thought because even then I never thought that I would like that, because to me it was like, no, it's just not impressive. It's not impressive to me, but it was. They made it impressive, and it just everything around it, and even the clown bit before that, which was hilarious. Like a lot of people don't know that Volta does have a clown, and I really like the clown act. It's the second or his last act. It's more like he's just there really to make you laugh. I don't want to give it away, but it's kind of like, what is going on right now? And is this seriously happening? I don't know if you remember, Max. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
There were a bunch of, and again, without giving away what's in it, there's a lot of like breaking the fourth wall in that clown act and making you like super aware of like what we were all watching.
And Wayne Wilson explained to us, like, he really wanted to do this, and he went and asked, he's like, please just let me do this. And they gave him the okay, and he's like, are you serious? And so he did, and but who knows if that's going to change, because there have been a lot of changes from when I saw it in Toronto back in November, I believe, and then in Miami on the 2nd. So one of the things that's changing is, well, first of all, Basketball is Out, which wasn't an original act, but then it was implemented shortly, I guess, a few months after it premiered. So we saw Basketball in Toronto. It's out in Miami, and I don't know if it's a permanent thing, but I remember Ian was telling us that he heard that they were going through like a lot of changes, and they were going to change about 6 acts. And I'm like, no, you're crazy. There's no way. Like, they're changing the entire show to do that. But it turns out that, yeah, like there's some artists leaving. It's about that year mark. So I don't know if they're necessarily leaving because they just don't want to continue with the show, or they're just going in a sort of a new direction. Yeah,
what are they
different.
replacing basketball with?
Well, see, this is the thing. So basketball was the second act.
Yeah.
We had ropes first and then basketball. Well, now unicycle is the second act. And then...
Really?
Yes. And so...
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. I've heard this.
I love the unicycle act in Kuza. I don't love it in Volta, just because, to me, like, you can tell it was just placed there after the fact. And then when I saw it in Miami, it just proves my point, because they moved it to the second act, like the first half of the show, but then they're using the same song that they use in basketball. So it's kind of like you have this act that you just putting somewhere else, and then not even moving the music with it. You know, you just and I guess you can, because of the act that was in the second half where unicycle was. And again, that was just placed after they had that rope and pulley act. And that's what it was replaced with. But now it's in the first half.
Like, also that music and that entire scene, like, it kind of only works in the second half of the show because it's so epic and requires, like, most of the cast to be
right,
on
exactly.
stage.
And I wouldn't want to see that as the second act. Meaning,
oh no, it's like it's way too big to be the second act. And in fact, that was my problem with seeing the unicycle act in that place in the second act when we saw it in Toronto, was that, like, the unicycle act was so small that it got overpowered by so many other giant things that were happening on the stage at the same time that you sort of stopped watching the unicycle. At least I did. And throughout the show, there's a lot of not necessarily acts that, like, are incredible, but acts that just produce these really cool images on stage.
Well, Max, you'd be surprised to, when I tell you what replaced unicycle, and that is baton twirling. So now you have baton twirling in that scene that you're talking about, and it's kind of like it's now a full act. Before it wasn't really.
I mean, are they batons with fire at the end of them?
No, with lights.
Yeah.
So
fire could have been cool for that act.
Somebody was telling me that she's leaving the show.
See, I don't know. Then maybe it's just for now, like it's a temporary thing, and then they're gonna replace it with another act. I still like that scene. I won't say act. I like the scene. Mm-hmm. I just thought the act was a little weak for what's going on around it.
What would you put in there for that scene? Like, what's an act that would, like, live up to?
I'm not sure, but you know what? Because it's so epic. To me, it's like, okay, if you don't know, don't just put any act in there. Just kind of integrate something with what's going on, and then it doesn't necessarily have to be an act and more of a scene. Oh, Trial Bike and Ring Soul, it was out. Like, it's no longer in the show, and I don't know why. So. And it wasn't replaced with anything. We're talking about, like, the Trial Bike.
Which one was there were a number of bike
acts. So you have the bike in the ballerina. Yes. And you have the Trial Bike. It's when the stage goes up, and then he's jumping from one side to the other on his bike, and then that's when the ring solo guy does this crazy spin, and everyone just goes crazy.
Like, I think I talked to you about it before, that I thought there were, like, because there's, like, 3 bike acts in that show. Right. That kind of makes sense to me that they would get rid of one of them, and, like, in all 3 of them, that seems like the one that would go. Because, like, the other 2 are I feel like they're required in terms of the story of the show. So yeah, that's
I would rather have that one be removed than they won't remove BMX, so they should have removed BMX because people just go nuts. And then ballerina, bicycle ballerina, like that's my favorite, one of my favorite acts as well. So I wouldn't want them to remove that.
It shows a lot about the character of Watts, right? You're sort of going back and sort of seeing why he's so introverted in his struggle. And yeah, that scene is required in that show.
That scene gave me chills.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard that they are removing parkour completely, and it's being replaced with another act. I heard the act, but I couldn't really, I didn't really hear exactly what was said. And then something that they're also changing is Watts' storyline. We're gonna see the show in New York in May. Parkour is supposed to be out by April. And I'm not sure when the new Watts storyline will be implemented, but I guess Richard is going to see somewhat of a completely different show than what I saw in Miami and Toronto.
That's also going to be weird because the DVD will have a totally different storyline than for people who go see the show now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
that's why we've not seen it yet. Is that they know they're going to change it. I can't imagine they would reshoot it, but you'd think it'd be out by now.
Well, I'm going to go see it in Tampa in February, so I'll let you know if there's any changes from there to then.
And then if the DVD is out, put in your orders, guys. Buy DVDs for everyone.
Oh, no. Yeah, start sending me PayPals.
Hey, I did it for Curios in Houston. It's not bad. Hey, I got upgraded to like first row center because I bought 21 DVDs for people. So maybe you can but all right, so enough of Volta. I guess whenever we see it, we'll notify you guys of the changes. But let's talk about Cirque 2018, which there's really not much to talk about, but it's weird that there is actually going to be a Big Top show in 2018. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, or if you guys have heard any rumors about it.
Is this the first time that we've had a Big Top show 3 years in a row?
Yes.
But this one is supposed to be going to a different market.
Yeah, from what we hear, it's gonna and I'm hearing conflicting that it is and it isn't going to premiere here in North America or Montreal specifically. But the one rumor is, it's going to premiere in Montreal. It probably will hit Toronto, and then by fall, so September, October, November, it's going to go overseas, and then the rumor is that it's going to start touring in India, which leads us to believe that perhaps this show has somewhat of an Indian theme to it.
Okay, wait. So this means
just went poof.
No, I'm just realizing that now. I mean, they haven't announced that Corteo is coming to Toronto, but Corteo is coming to Toronto. And they're gonna be in Toronto very, very close to each other if this is true.
Meaning the new show and Corteo?
Yeah, because I heard
that might not even happen. It might not even go to Toronto, right, Richard? It might go from.
It might not. I mean, that's my speculation. I mean, usually they're in Montreal, and then maybe there's somewhere, elsewhere in Quebec, and then they'll go into Ontario, and usually that's Toronto.
Yeah, they don't usually go to Toronto until September, October, and I heard November for Corteo by sources. So,
but it may not. It may be do New York, and then it may go off. We just don't know.
I'm not gonna complain if that happens. I'll be totally fine with it.
And arena shows can be easily rescheduled, so they might have initially mentioned it for November of next year, and then it might move up or it might move back.
The weird thing for me is, if you look at there was a post on the Cirque du Soleil Entertainment Group Facebook page, and it was talking about, or it's for one of their job postings, and it said Cirque is evoking the past and taking it to new and emerging markets. The evoking the past to me is like
calling on old shows.
Right. And there's a rumor out there that there's a show coming back. And Richard and I have talked about it, and I guess Ian knows about it. But I'll just say it, like, we heard that Alegria might be coming back, but we're not.
Seriously?
We're not. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I've heard it, and the reason why I'm saying it is because I didn't hear it only from one person. I've heard from multiple people now.
I've heard it from a few.
Right. So there were talks about it coming back, or them bringing it back, and so
That would be okay. This is interesting because yes, this is like the third like new production in 3 years. But if they can bring back something that's older, that gives them that they don't have to spend so much time and effort in creation if they have something that's already written. So man, this is oh boy.
But I heard Alegria was 2019. So, but I'm just.
Can I say something that?
25th.
Can I say something about that? Like with Alegria, if it comes back, it'd be an arena format, right?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I mean,
it could be big time.
If it is, that's great, and if not, that bites. But
I mean, if it's an emerging market, why would you take an arena show? You would want to take a big top. If you think that it's emerging, anything can change because with everything changes at some point. You never know. But it was mentioned in talks.
This sets a precedent now that they can bring back shows that they've retired for a number of years.
And Franco Dragon shows.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
Salt and Banco closed, and it was gone for 2 years.
Yeah, but this would be more like
it was completely dead, and then
like 6 years.
Right.
Because Alegria closed in like 2013, so it'd be like 6 years until it came back. Huh. My mind is freaking out a little bit, guys.
It could be really cool.
The reason they would do it is because it's the 25th anniversary of Alegria's launch. That would be a perfect time to do it. So maybe in 2021 we'll get a relaunch of Kidam.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
And
what about Salta Blanco?
I don't see that wouldn't happen.
What about Salta Blanco?
It's possible. I mean, although it's been resurrected 3 times now, I mean, it is possible. I mean, especially if India proves to be a good market, they still need to send those shows through China. China is also, a now emerging market. So it's possible Alegria will be resurrected and sent to India or go somewhere else, go to China.
Man.
Kidam could be resurrected because Kidam was supposed to continue. It was supposed to continue on and go into China, but they didn't have it all set yet, and then it closed. So it's possible. Anything is possible.
Since we're on the topic of resurrecting shows, what do you guys think? Which show would you guys like to see come back from the dead, like Ortega? What about you, Ian?
For me, hands down, Kidam. Hands down. It'll always be Kidam. Until it's Lanuba. Once Kidam's back, it'll be Lanuba again. But Kidam, hands down.
Max?
Mind Freak Live.
And that was the last time we saw Max on Cirque.
And Max is no longer with Cirque. No, but really, which show?
Man, it's a toss-up between Kidam and Salta Blanco for me.
Richard?
I would say Kidam, but I would like Zed.
Oh, Zed. I didn't get to see Zed. So that's a good choice, I guess. I would have said Kidam. But yeah, maybe Zed, because I didn't get to see it. And then what about, for the viewers, the guys that are watching, if you want to comment what your, choice for a show to bring back would be, we are going to be choosing a person at random from people that comment, and we will send you, since we're talking about dead shows, a brand new Itties mug. So yeah, that's going to be completely random, and then we'll announce the winner, and then we'll contact you, and then we'll send you a free mug, courtesy of Circecast.
And when we pick your comment, we'll go to Cirque du Soleil, and we'll get them to bring that show back.
Unless it's Mind Freak Live. But you can still win.
Or believe.
Or believe. All right. So, yeah, that is...
Banana Spiel.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. You're going to get those shows, and then you're going to be crying. Yeah, so that is all for this episode. It's been great. I mean, it's been sort of a lot of news, a lot of stuff has happened, and there's a lot of stuff happening in the future, so it's exciting. I know Richard, for a while, he was like, I need news, I need Cirque news, what is happening? There's nothing. But yeah, so the future is looking exciting. I know we've had sort of frustrations with what we were hearing and seeing, and you know, where was Cirque going in which direction. But I don't know, I think it's going to be fun. And yeah, we'll just have to see. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram at CirqueCast, and don't forget to share this video, and then again, comment what show you want to bring back, and then we will do the giveaway. All right, so we'll see you guys next time.